Hello and welcome to ED 584, and this is module number 5. So let's go ahead and get started. This is for February 12th through the 18th of 2024, the spring 2024 semester. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. That's the home page. I'm going to go into this through module 4. In module 4, get all the pictures. There we go. It's all set. Now we'll go to module 5. So to begin with module 5, the photos, and they're not wintertime photos, but the day I recorded this, February 3rd, was the 65th anniversary of the day the music died, according to Don McLean's famous song American Pie. And the day the music died is the day that Buddy Holly, his plane crashed in northern Iowa near Clear Lake in Mason City, Iowa. My sister-in-law is from Mason City, and the weather was not very good, and they crashed right after takeoff. And it was Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper, and those were some of the top singers, rock and roll singers, back at that time. And it was on February 3rd, 1959. Back in 2019, when I was back in the Midwest visiting family, on the way to Twin Cities, Minneapolis, to fly out, I stopped and found the crash site, and here are the photos of the site of where the day the music died. So it's the background of my pictures. Let's go ahead and get into this, and you're watching the introductory video right now. So purpose of this module, it will continue our examination of means testing, specifically through the study of independent samples means test and the related samples t-test. While the one samples t-test allowed us to test a hypothesis comparing a single group mean to that of a known or predicted population mean, the two independent sample t-test allows us to compare two independent group means. And the related sample t-test allows us to test hypotheses concerning two related sample means or two groups. The two independent samples t-test are used to investigate whether or not a statistical difference exists between groups. Assumptions associated with this test require that the sample was randomly selected, that the population from which the samples were drawn is normally distributed, and that the two samples are independent from each other. Like with other hypothesis tests, the null hypothesis is tested through the use of the t-test procedure. The related samples, also called the dependent samples, can occur through the use of a repeated measure design or a matched pair design. Repeated measure means that participants are observed at different times, and each time data is collected that is considered a group. For example, participants could be measured before a treatment is applied and then measured again after the treatment has been applied, such as a pre and post test. Or they might be measured across two different treatments, such as within subject's design. Related samples can also be established through the use of matched pair design, in which case participants are only measured once within the group they belong and then matched with another participant in another group based on some common characteristic. When conducting any statistical procedure, it is important to understand the assumptions of the procedure and ensure they have been adequately addressed. Assumptions of the related samples t-test are normality and independence within groups. As we learned from our study of the one sample t-test, a significant finding should include a reporting of the effect size. Effect size provides an indication of the meaningfulness of a significant finding and can be numerically represented through any of three different statistical calculations. Those are the Cohen's d, the eta squared, and the omega squared. Each of these effect size measures are included within and important for our study of related samples procedures. Another important concept is that the standard error can be estimated from sample data and used to establish confidence intervals. A confidence interval represents a range of values in which we can be sure with a designated level of probability, usually 95%, but could be any level decided upon, that the value of the population is within. The lower value of the confidence interval is called the lower bound, while the upper value of the confidence interval is called upward bound. The lower and upper bound are sometimes reported within brackets. For example, as you can see in brackets, LB, UB. When the confidence interval for the mean difference contains the value 0, then that indicates insufficient evidence to conclude a difference exists between the groups. A mean difference value of 0 indicates there is no difference between groups, and thus, if 0 falls within the confidence interval determined by the mean difference, then we cannot claim a difference exists between the groups. And you can read the objectives at your convenience. So the readings are from the main textbook, Statistics for the Behavioral Sciences, Chapter 10, Testing Means, 2 independent sample t-tests. And we also have the supporting PowerPoint. We also have 3 YouTube videos here. The last one is one I put together on running the independent samples t-test. So you'll get to see me in my description of that statistical procedure. Then there's the testing, then there's chapter 11, which is the related samples t-test. And we have the supporting video, and then the supporting PowerPoint, and also the video for the related samples t-test. And then in how to use SPSS, section 6.4. Then we have my reflected commentary. And then we have the quantitative research article summary. And that is due on February 15th. So that concludes the introduction and instruction for Module 5. As always, do not hesitate to let me know if you have any questions. And also, look at your points. Make sure that you've received points for everything that you've submitted. We are moving into about a quarter of the way, or a little bit more than a quarter of the way for the semester. And also, the end of the semester is going to get upon us pretty quickly. So start to think hard about what your final project, the methods chapter of your possible dissertation or master's thesis, and also there will also be the presentation for that. As always, do not hesitate to let me know if you have any questions. If you wish to visit with me, we can schedule a Zoom meeting. Thank you, and talk to you later.